So first things first, very sorry for the delay, है ना? बड़ा event होता है, बड़े लोग आते हैं तो delay होता है, ठीक है? So very good afternoon. My name is Krishna. I am an ALiAS volunteer and your host for today. So before we begin, this event, as most of you already registered, is a Notion-based workshop event where Vensy, the Notion India ambassador, all over India ambassador, is here to talk about Notion, how to use it and optimize it for you guys as students. Right? So let me give a bit of an introduction about Vensy. Okay, so she's the founder. First thing first, she's the founder of Build Academy, who also happen to be our sponsor. So right, and as I already mentioned, Vensy is the Notion India ambassador. So Build Academy, which is founded by her, is a no-code building company, and it is into education. It educates people to build apps, websites without the use of code. So it is very useful for people like me, right? So this event is organized by ALiAS. ALiAS is Amity's largest open source community. It has more than 500 active members and also more than 50 active volunteers who organize events like us, like these. Right? So before we delay the event furthermore, can you have a huge applause for Vensy? And guys, please register on Luma. The link is going to be shared again in the members group right now, and it's also in the RSVP form link. Right? So please register on that.
Yep. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. So, welcome everyone to this student-specific event. This is actually one of the first kind of events that I'm hosting for students in specific, because usually some of these events are slightly more generic for early stage professionals and students, product managers, designers, etc. This event, however, I'm going to be teaching you how to use Notion to sort of be more effective and efficient as a student right now. And as someone who has been in your shoes a little recently, 2018, which is not too recent now, I realize that, but most people in the Notion ambassadors of the Notion community are not as young as I am. But I feel like I'm in a unique space to help you guys understand how to use Notion for your needs. So just a little bit of introduction. Today's session we're going to be learning first a little bit about Notion. How many of you are beginners to Notion? Amazing. So to help you out, I'm going to be teaching you just a little bit of outline on what Notion is, what you can expect and what you can do with this tool. Okay? To introduce myself, apart from that other amazing introduction, I am the founder of Build Academy, which means that I teach people how to build websites, apps and automations without writing code. I'm actually a lawyer by training, which makes it all the more powerful to learn skills like these, because I'm as non-technical as it can get, and therefore these workshops or just helping people understand Notion is part of a larger group of events that I'm hosting to help people understand what no code is. And if you're not familiar with what no code is, it's basically what we call visual development. You don't see the code on the screen and therefore you call it no code. It's a misnomer. Code is there, coders are still there. It's just it makes people more, they have a friendlier attitude towards using tech to solve problems. So I've been into education entrepreneurship for the last 10 years now, and right now I am the Notion ambassador for India, as has been pointed out, which means that I teach people how to build using Notion. I teach companies and teams to set up their Notion workspaces, hundreds of people, just how to use it internally. And I also design Notion products and templates to sort of help people duplicate them directly onto their workspaces. I do have a thriving digital store. So let's get started with the workshop. The first aspect of the workshop is to just introduce you to what Notion is as a tool. How many of you are comfortable with Notion and avid users? Oh, yeah, that's a very good number. Great. So how many of you have never heard of Notion until today? That's a good number too. So this is for you. This part answers your question. What is Notion? Well, and those of you who've actually been using Notion, I'm not sure if you've been using it for all the use cases. Just some of them are, you can use it as a note-taking tool, which I'm sure you're using it as, but it's also a very good project management tool, a website builder, a company HQ, wiki, knowledge management solution, daily planner, Todoist. You can even build entire websites out of Notion. If you go to my website right now, Vensy.me, it is built completely out Now, Notion, I'm using it as a CMS for my website, but you'll understand that it's basically been customized a little bit using CSS. But otherwise, it is a Notion website and Notion page. Today's agenda, we're going to be learning what Notion is, how you can use it, how you can build an effective student workspace on your Notion workspace, and then we're going to sort of build it along with each other, and then we're going to network with each other to understand how we can collaborate in the larger system of no-code building. Whenever you open Notion, and this is for the beginners out there, there is a worksheet that has been sent by the organizing team right now on your email. If you have not received that email, it's probably because you have not signed up on Luba yet. But you can open the email for the worksheet link. Now, if you open the worksheet, sign up for Notion, everything, this is what you're going to see. Every time you start using Notion, this is the blank page that you're going to start with. And of course, it looks very similar to, let's say, a canvas on Google Docs, right? When you open Google Docs, it's pretty much what you see, like a blank page, a blank canvas, and a cursor. But with this blank canvas, there are so many things that you can do that you cannot do with Google Docs. You can build a personal digital planner for yourself. You can build a CV for yourself. My entire CV is actually hosted on Notion right now. That is the CV that got me my first jobs in tech. And there you go, we've lost power. Will it be back anytime soon?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. I'm going to go ahead. Great. We also can build a company HQ, which means that you can have an entire knowledge base of like a Wikipedia of what goes on into your company and set it up nicely for your team to work on. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard of a company called OnDeck. OnDeck is a very popular education company based out of Silicon Valley. I worked there. I was leading operations first and then I led the education system there. And we had our entire company HQ with more than 300 people working completely remotely all across the world. We were working completely remotely and async using Notion, right? So of course Slack was the IM tool of choice, but our knowledge base and wiki and essentially documentation, everything was hosted on Notion. Apart from that, as I told you, you can build websites and landing pages using Notion, and I pretty much use it for most of the things. I'll give you an example, right? I'm sure you're using Google Docs to share some information that's important with a bunch of people. I'm telling you, Notion will replace Google Docs straight out of the board for you. Apart from Google Docs, it replaces Google Sheets because it's a very, very powerful database management tool. It will also replace Google Drive for you. And essentially, it is a full workspace productivity suite. Just like Google tries to be, but everything will be in one place. So on a Notion canvas that I just showed you, you don't have to. How do you switch this on?
Yeah, it'll take a minute.
It will? Okay. So, whatever I do, all I have to do is set it up on that one blank canvas that I showed you earlier.
Vensy?
Yeah?
Just hold on one second. We need to turn the projector on. Okay guys, so while we figure that out, I forgot to make a couple of announcements because I got nervous obviously, सबको इतना देख के होता है ना? Oh, projector भी on हो गया. So after this talk, okay, we have amazing refreshments also for you guys. So after we're done with this refreshing talk, just stay back, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, we have some good food.
Oh, and we also have very good swags, okay? I am wearing one of those. They're on that table, so take them after the talk. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's about it. So you want to be careful about rationing it. And well, it's exclusively available to people who've attended this event. So please don't give it out to other people. We have to still maintain that exclusivity. Anyway, after this workshop is over, we have a couple of things. I have a couple of things that you can do actually to master some of these concepts. The first thing is you want to master Notion. Notion is not a very hard tool. You don't need a course, you don't need anything. Like everything I know of Notion, I probably downloaded a couple of templates and reverse engineered them and figured it all out for myself. There's a very good forum, there's a very good Reddit. r/Notion is very, very active. And you can use Notion to, you can use basically Notion to build things not only for your personal use but your work use as well. Maybe you're working on an internship, maybe you have a side project, or maybe you're running clubs such as this one in your college. You can base all of that in Notion. The second thing is you can join the community. The Notion community is one of the largest in the world, and if you want to meet some really cool people doing amazing things in the startup world or the tech world or the VC world, this is the place to be. How do you get started with that? Is Twitter is the best place. The biggest community of Notion users is on Twitter. Instagram is slowly coming up for sure. But if you want to just get started, I would say that you should probably join us on Twitter. If you share anything today on Instagram or Twitter, please tag me. I will make sure to reshare that and repost that. The last thing is, if you want to get even more fluent in designing and building Notion workspaces, best thing is to download Notion templates and try to reverse engineer them. That is a better way of learning Notion than going for courses. Structured courses give you very little. Template designing for yourself, that's a very good place to start. Before I forget, I want to introduce you to a very cool event, especially for those of you who are already using Notion. If you're using Notion already, or if you're a beginner and in the next couple of weeks you manage to really fall in love with Notion, I am hosting the world's first Notion hackathon coming up IRL, but this is going to be in Bangalore in the later part of this month, on the 25th and the 26th weekend of February. It is going to be an IRL event, 24 hours, overnight building session, limited spaces. There still are a few spaces, so I'm announcing it right now. This is the QR code if you're interested in signing up. We do have a few spots remaining. You can check it out. If you are coming to Bangalore, I would love to meet you there again. So this is called Block Party. This hackathon is called Block Party. Notion is built completely on blocks. Therefore, that's why it's called that. It's part of an initiative called No Code Weekend. It is the world's largest no-code hackathon that I founded in 2021. So what happens is we bring together ambitious people to build something and ship something over the weekend. All events are... Yeah, I will show you the QR code once again. Give me a minute. Let me just explain what this is about. It helps you build and ship something over just a weekend. That's 48 hours long, usually completely remote. You can join from anywhere. But in the February event, that is an IRL event, 24 hours. And you can sign up right there. Yeah? If you want that link again, I will give it to you after this event is done, and I look forward to seeing you in Bangalore. Also, a few of you asked me if we accept internships at Build Academy. We actually do. Not just no-code development, but social media marketing and a bunch of other stuff like video editing, content writing, all of those stuff. So if you're interested in applying for an internship, that slide is coming up right after this. There you go. If you're interested in applying for internships, that's the form. It's a very straightforward form. Some of the roles that are open are on the form right now, but if you fill it up and if there's any new vacancies, I will definitely contact you. And if you're interested in this link as well, I will give it to you after the event again. Or actually after the event is done, whatever email will send you to follow up, that will have this link. So don't worry about it even if you miss it right now, okay? Great, so let's get started with building with Notion. I hope you've taken this down. What we're going to build today, and if you already have access to the worksheet, that looks something like this. If you go to what we're creating section, there's a My Student Workspace link, right? So I'm just opening that, just wanted to show you where that is coming from. You can check it out on your laptop as well. So this is what we're going to build today. It is a fairly, well, it's not a beginner's build, that I will tell you. It's not a beginner's build. This is something you can build for yourself using Notion. Using that blank sheet that I showed you just earlier, okay? We're going to break this build down to 3 sections. We're going to slowly but surely build this out in the next hour, okay? So let's just take a look at what this is and why it looks the way it does. The first one is a couple of illustrations. This is an illustration. So is this. But this that you're seeing on the right, that's not an illustration. That's an embed. Right? That's an embed. It's taking some interesting quotes from an Instagram handle and it's displaying it for you. You can similarly sort of set up other embeds like calendars, temperature, time, countdown timers, all of that stuff you can embed. I just wanted to show you what is possible. So in the first section, it's basically saying, welcome, you're in this year, this semester, these are your goals, these are your side projects. So when you open, you can write your goals here, just to remind yourself every day, right? Now, what is this supposed to be? What is this page supposed to be? This page is supposed to be your HQ, which means that you will keep going to this every single day. Every time you want to make notes, you will come here. Every time you have an important link that you found, you will come here to save it. Every time your professor gives you an assignment, this is where you will come to set yourself a reminder. This is also the calendar that will show you the upcoming assignments. This is the task manager that will show you what tasks are there. These are the resources where you will save important resources like websites or links or books or any other references that you need. This is the notebook where you will type notes. Now what is happening here is it will effectively replace all the other tools that you might be using as a student, like let's say OneNote, that's a fairly famous note-taking app, or Google Docs, or Evernote, probably that's something that you might be using, and task manager tools like ClickUp or Todoist and all of these other tools. That will also be replaced. Calendar, Google Calendar is probably something you might be using for reminders and stuff. This will do it for you. Similarly, resources, you might be saving all of your resources in, I don't know, maybe Google Sheets or Pocket or some of these other apps where you might be saving these clippings. This will replace all of that. So that's about it actually. It's a very straightforward build, but to get here it will take a little bit of time. Once you set this up though, you can keep coming back to it for 4 or 5 years of course, how long your course is. So let's get started and slowly unravel the mystery of how this template was built. And if you actually take back something from today's workshop, it is how to reverse engineer some of these templates, because that's basically how you build something that works and how you excel at your no-code and Notion tools, Notion skills, sorry. So let's get started. As I told you, the first page is always going to be a blank canvas. Let's open a blank canvas like this. Yeah, this is basically what you should be seeing when you open Notion. Now, the first thing you do is give the page a title. Give it something very descriptive like your name's student workspace or something's workspace, something like that, right? You could add an icon just to customize it. If you want to keep the consistency that I kept on my page, usually you could go to icons and use these instead. Not emojis, but icons here. I'm going to type home because this is going to serve as a home page and stick to one color scheme. This is a dark gray that I'm going to be sticking with. Alright, now let's start building part 1. There's going to be 3 parts of this build. We're going to do part 1 now. Part 1 is we're just going to, for all the beginners, this will also be helpful. How do you build the first section, that hero section, that first strip? That first strip has 3 components. This first is an illustration. The second one is some information and some snippets that will help you. And the third one is something that is dynamic, that will change. I'm going to show you how to do that for now. So when you have the page like this, you can just say empty page with icon. This is fine. And when you see this, the cursor is here, not here. As in, this particular page is very, very narrow. The reason for that is if you go to the top 3 dots and change it to full width, now you can see that you have a little more space to deal with. Yeah. Usually, if it's a home page, you want more, breathing space, and therefore you make it wide. Now, when you have these 3, so when you have this entire strip, you want to make 3 blocks out of it. So first one is for illustration, the second one is for text, and third one is for dynamic embed. So, as I told you, Notion is made completely on blocks. What does that mean? So, anything that goes onto this page is a distinct block. When you type enter on Google Docs, the cursor goes to another line, right? Which means Google Docs are made of lines, which is why it's so hard to format pictures on Google Docs. Everything gets screwed up with that one image, right? It will never happen on Notion because every time you enter a new line, a new block is created. Whether it's a new image, a new table, a new page, even a page, all of them are distinct blocks. Let me tell you what that means. Let's say this is text. The first one is image, next one's text, the third one is an embed. Now all these 3, as you can see, there's a little 6 dots that are coming up there, right? That means that's a new block. If it's a block, you can take a block and rearrange it. Let me do that and show you. I'm going to click on these 6 dots for text, click and drag like this. You can see the blue line coming up. I'm going to click and drag it onto the right side of that image block because it's a long rectangular block. I'm going to make it there. I'm going to leave it there. And that is how the blocks have been rearranged, right? Just dragging and dropping it. That's about it. I'm going to do this one more time. Taking and dropping the image block, right side of text, and there will be a small blue line that will show you what's happening there. And I'm going to drop it there. So this is how you format blocks on Notion. Now you've created 3 columns, right? So there's 1 column of blocks here, 1 here, and another one here. Am I going too fast? I think it's fairly straightforward, right? There's not too much. I'm just showing you how to format things. That's about it. So now instead of typing the word image, I'm just going to delete that. I'm actually going to insert an image. How do you insert things in Notion? If you obviously type, it will be text. You don't have to insert anything. But if you press the plus button, you'll have options of adding something. And I'm going to search for image. You can either do that, or you can say / and do the same thing. Heading 1. So in add image section, I will add this illustration. If you want this illustration that you're seeing, I actually added some of them for you here in the what we're creating section. All of the files are there in that folder. You can use them for yourself. I'm going to add image upload file, and I'm going to add an illustration here. Now, it's just like any image management service. It will give you a few options on what to do with the image. It's uploading right now. It takes a little bit of time, like it takes a couple of seconds. Now it's been uploaded. Now, if I change if I just click and drag this particular bar, it will make it larger or shorter, depending on how you want it for your workspace. In the second column, I'm just going to say welcome and your name. And what else is there? It's just going to show you what year and what semester you're in. Probably just write that in heading 3. As I told you again, if you insert heading 3, it's basically / and then search for what you're looking for. Same thing. And you write your year, maybe year 2 and sem 2. And then the last thing for this particular box is goals and your side projects and extracurriculars. Just stuff you want to be reminded about every single day when you open this, right? Before I move on, I want to remind you that Notion is a very, very powerful mobile app also. So we're doing all of this on your laptop right now, but this same page can be added as a widget on your home screen of your phone. And I have plenty of my Notion pages on my phone just to remind myself. So for example, I have a to-do list that's on the home page, so it keeps reminding me of stuff that's coming up. Similarly, if you have a workspace, a personal HQ, that you want to see this goals and all of that every single day, just add that to the, as a widget on your home screen. You don't have to rely on any app to do that. You can build this yourself on Notion. It works really well, right? And so, how do you create things that can be easily hidden is basically the purpose of toggles. So let's say you have goals, but you don't want everybody to see it. You can always click on the toggle and it will close like that. So any important information, maybe important quotes or affirmations or reminders you have for yourself, it's a good place to write them down. How do you add these is basically this particular arrow and then space. Of course, you can do it by / toggle as well. The same thing, / toggle. It will give you a toggle. I'm going to say goals. Just like Word docs or Google Docs, when you actually click and select the text, you can also format it on Notion just like the same way you would do it on any other word editing service. So going to make it bold. If you want to change some of the colors, you can do that as well. And then if I click on this block, so if I click on these 6 dots, the block will be selected. Command or Control D will duplicate it. I'm going to do it twice so that there's 3 blocks like this, 3 toggles. The second one is going to be side projects. And the third one is going to be extracurriculars. Just going to go ahead and bold all of them. And change the color of this black to black. Cool. So we're done with the second part of the build as well, except for the last one, which is embed. Now, I actually don't really prefer embeds on my builds, but I saw that most students prefer to have something cool like Spotify playlists or like YouTube videos just to have some background music while you work. So those are some of the options that you can embed here. But if you don't want all of those, then the simple thing to do is add like an Instagram post or some kind of interesting quotes that might help you. If you want to add dynamic quotes, you can go ahead and embed that particular snippet using several tools that allow you to embed this stuff on Notion. The one that I use is called indify.co. These are all the widgets that you can build on Indify. I built one for quotes, as you can see, connected it to an Instagram account, and that is what you see there. So if you just want to embed that, simply the same thing just for the purposes of this demonstration, all you have to do is copy this code on references. Just copy this. I'll show you what happens. Copy this. Go back to your build. And you don't have to do anything, just paste it. When you paste a code like this, or when you paste a link like this, Notion is going to ask you, do you want me to create a bookmark? Do you want me to create an embed? Or do you want me to dismiss it? Just click on create embed. Okay guys, any questions so far? Am I going too fast? Sorry? Okay, so the dynamic one is basically just go to the worksheet, copy this link and paste it here. It'll give you 2 or 3 options. Create bookmark, create embed or dismiss. Just click on create embed. That's all. Yeah? Okay, we're done with the first section of the build, guys. We're pretty much done with the first thing that you're going to see on your phone or your computer whenever you open this page. Is everyone here at this point, or do you want me to wait? Okay, now we're going to build something that is much more powerful than whatever this formatting is. The first thing I want to make sure is click and drag this block around the cursor to make sure that this cursor is the entire page. Because if it is not, it might look like this. It might look like this, which means that it will continue in columns like that. You will not be able to write in the rest of the page. That's a problem. And therefore, you want to make sure that you want to, this block or blocks, just make sure that you drag them right down to make sure that it's finishing the whole page. And now you don't have columns anymore, right? That's a formatting tip. So this is the main crucial part of today's build. Everything that you're seeing right now, this gallery, this calendar, this task manager, resources and notebook, all the 5 tables you're seeing right now are not separate tables. They are all connected. And therefore, when you say submit research proposal or you complete one of these tasks, this project progress bar is going to increase or decrease based on your task list. What do I mean by that? Let me show you. So complete project presentation, when I toggle it off, you can see that the progress that is associated with all the subjects is decreasing. Similarly, read 3 case laws. It might affect one of them. This is the second one. So because I finished all the case laws, I finished all the tasks associated with law of torts, it's 100% complete right now. So what you're doing right now, you're building something that helps you manage your projects by linking them to your task manager. Every project is associated with tasks, right? When you have to finish a project, you have to finish all the tasks associated with it. We're building a task manager that is related to projects. In this case, your projects are your subjects. It could be something else also. It could be something like host an insane cultural fest in college. That could be a project. But that will have 100 tasks associated with it. So I'm going to show you how to set that up for yourself using just a couple of steps. So let's start with another blank block right now. The first thing you want to do is /. When you create anything on Notion is /. I'm going to search for a database. Databases are what make Notion insanely powerful. Databases look like Google Sheets, but they're increasingly powerful and incredibly much more packed with value than Google Sheets ever are. After today's class, hopefully you will want to completely convert to Notion and never use Google Sheets again. Database inline is what we're going to be using, and it will look like a table, right? So it looks like a Google Sheet. It's a bunch of columns and rows. So I'm going to type the title of this, and your projects are basically subjects. Go down. Let's just type the title as subjects. Okay? And whatever subjects you have, let's type names here, subject 1, subject 2, and subject 3. And maybe second column always that Notion gives you in a database is called tags. And it's a multi-select option. You can see that small icon next to tags. You'll know what type of column it is. I'm going to change that to, let's say, a text column and call it professor name. Just to give you a little more context on who's teaching this. Some more information that might be relevant is where are the classes being held. So it depends on university to university. You have different classes in different blocks. You can add a column to give that more information about location of the class, location of that subject. Probably say hall 1. And so this is a single select option. So how did I do this is plus. Whenever you want to add a column, you add a plus. And then you select the third option called select. The fourth one is called multi-select. Yeah, should I slow down a little bit? So there's two options in Notion called single select and multi-select. Single select allows you to select only one option in the column. Multi-select is the same one, but you can select more than one. Usually you have only one location for each class, so I'm going to select single select. The second class is also in hall 1, the third one is in hall 2, let's say. And I'm going to create that option by clicking hall 2. Now all of this is muscle memory. Once you start building this out, it's very easy to build databases. It's not a big deal, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'm just going to write some dummy text. Any other information that you want to give about your subjects? Anything else that might be relevant to your projects? No?
Number of classes?
Number of classes? Sure, because of attendance, right?
Yeah.
Sure, so if it's a number of classes, then you want to create a number column. So you can see now that as you create more columns, Notion is it's restricting you about what data goes into that column. You can't type anything that you want on any cell like Google Sheets, right? Google Sheets you can select, double click anything and type anywhere. You can't do that. That's the difference between a spreadsheet and a database. This is a database. Database information is stored at the row level, which is why you have to specify exactly what kind of information it is in that cell for that row. In this row, that cell is going to be a number cell. So in this column, sorry, it's going to be a number cell. And you're going to say number of classes, right? Basically, number of classes. What's the usual number of classes for you guys? Per subject?
60.
45.
45?
60.
60 and
70.
depending on the credits, I suppose, right? Okay, great. That's good information to have, definitely. Alright, so guys, what is happening right now is you are creating a single source of truth for you to find out answers to whenever you have a question ever about any subject. Similarly, you're going to create a single source of truth for your tasks, for your assignments, and everything else, for your notes, for your references and so on. As about it. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to connect everything so that as you make progress on one thing, it reflects on the other. So, for example, if you are going to prepare for your political, so what's a good subject? I went to law school. Tell me a subject that you are studying. Java.
Operating system.
Operating systems. Okay, so let's say you have a test coming up for operating systems. Okay. Everything that you need for that semester in that subject will be in one place. You will not search for anything anywhere else. You will open it on your phone or your computer, and all you have to do is revise. All your notes, all your references, everything that you studied in that particular semester, all the stuff that your professor has sent you, all the stuff that guest lectures have taught you, everything will be tagged with that name, and therefore you will be able to filter for operating systems, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that. Actually, it will not take too long. Half the time I spent on this, by the way, like 80% of the time I spent on this is just formatting. The 20% of the time is the build. I'm just going to show you the build today, so don't worry about it. You can do the formatting according to your color preferences later. I'm a very minimalist kind of person, so it's always like black, white and grey. You can go all out and make it as many colors of the rainbow as you want. So the second thing I want to do is, as I told you, whenever you have projects, you have tasks associated with the projects. Similarly, when you have subjects, you have assignments, projects, homework, or anything that is related to you having to successfully pass that subject, right? So we're going to build something that allows you to capture the tasks associated first. The last step is we're going to connect this table, the subjects table and the task manager, okay? So, quickly click on a block under the subjects table. So we're not creating a new subject here, which you will do by creating new. That's not what we're doing. We're clicking on the block to create a new database yet again. As I told you, /database and inline database. We're going to do one more time. In this case, we're going to call this task manager. And whenever you have tasks, what are the columns that you will need? What are the properties you will need? You have a task title, what you have to do.
Deadline.
You have a deadline, exactly. What else you have for tasks?
Progress.
Progress, okay.
Checkbox.
Checkbox, right? Let's build that. So 4 things. The name of the task is already given to us. Second one, as I told you, Notion always gives you tags. The second column. If you want to have categories for the tasks, great. For example, it could be homework, reading material, exam, whatever. But I'm going to change that to, instead of type multi-select, I'm going to change that to date. And I'm going to call it deadline. Enter. The third thing you guys said was progress, but I'm going to build progress in just a bit. What else did you say was the checkbox. So basically to say, is this task done? So the name of the column, we're going to say done, and we're going to search for a checkbox. If you can't search for it, just search for checkbox and it will pop up. And that's about it. This checkbox column has been inserted. I'm going to rename that checkbox column from checkbox to... Yeah, sure. Come on. Done, and I'm going to say question mark just because it's clear on what this is. Alright, now the last thing I'm going to do to make it easy to format is I'm going to click and drag this right at the end. And I'm going to collapse this by dragging it all the way till the bottom. Yeah? So it's only showing you the checkboxes like this. Great. This information is actually enough for me. Let's say I'm going to say finish project 4. If I want to give more details about this task, what I'm going to do is, okay guys, this is a powerful piece of databases. I wanted to pay a little bit of attention here. When you hover over this title, there's an option called open. When I click on open, this row opens up as a different page, like this. How is that useful? Let me show you how it's useful on my website, okay? If I go to Vensy.me right now, it's a home page of all of this stuff. Now, this is nothing but different rows on Notion. And when I click on this open button, it's opening this as a page, right? That is essentially what's happening here. When I click on this open button, it's opening it as a page. Yeah? It's pretty much, so I'm using Notion as my content management service, content management system, CMS. And all of my blog posts are actually written as Notion pages. And why does it not look like Notion and it has all these colors and fonts and all? It's because it's formatted by CSS, that's all. Yeah? Great. Now, if I want to give a little more information, as I told you about the task, I can open that page up and start writing whatever I want. Pages and pages I can write about that task, if I really want to. But basically, I just need these both of information, right? Now, I want you guys to think like engineers right now. If I want to associate this particular project, this particular task with a subject, I can, number one, add a column, single select, and type the subject name. I can do that. But if you're going to think like an engineer, and I'm not an engineer by the way, but this is engineering thinking is what I realized over time, is if you already have the information about that particular subject somewhere else, the best practice is to link it to that rather than creating another instance of that subject again. So what I'm supposed to do right now to link this task to a project is not by creating another column, but linking it to another database. That other database is already here. I just have to link this task manager to the subjects one. So what happens here is when I click on the plus button, I'm not looking for single select anymore. I'm looking for linking, which is a relation. I want to create a relation between these tasks and my subject. So I'm going to go down and search for the relation option. Now this is where Notion building gets into intermediate levels. This is not beginner level stuff anymore. So if you guys have already been using Notion as a note-taking tool, this is where everything changes. I'm going to click on relation. And now it's going to say, okay, I'm going to link this to something. Tell me what should I link this to. You have to search for your database. So you have to name it very carefully so you know what it is. I named it subjects. So I'm going to search for subjects. And it says there is a subjects database in Vensy's student workspace page. Is that it? I'm going to click on that. And now it's going to give me 3 more options. The first one is saying, is it related to the right database? You can change that if it's a wrong database. The second one is a limit. Should a task be associated with only one subject or more? Yes? Yeah, sure. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to close this. One more time, guys. Plus, instead of single select, scroll down and find relation. Have you found it? When you're asking me to relate it to something, it says, okay, I will link it to something. What do I link it to? You have to search for the right database. I'm searching for the subjects database. Have you found it? Click on that and it's going to give you a few more options to finalize it. The first one is you can change the first database if you need it. I don't need to. The second one is, should there be a limit? Should one task be associated with only one subject? In some cases, it makes sense. For example, one particular job can be given to one student only. Makes sense to make a limit there. But in this case, maybe project 4 applies to 2 or 3 subjects. So I don't want any limit. Most of the time, it makes sense not to have a limit. And the last thing is, it's saying, okay, you're creating a link here and I'm going to show that link in the task manager. Do you also want me to create the same column on the other table and show tasks there? And I'm going to just toggle it and show you how it works. It's okay if you don't want it also. So I'm just going to click on add relation and leave it like that. Now you have one task. Let's set a deadline to it tomorrow. And finish project 4 is related to what subject. Click on that cell and see what happens. It's now pulling all the names of the subjects that you have in this particular table. If I click on new and write subject number 4 in this table, and I click on subjects here now, you will see that a new subject has been added. Yeah? Why? It's because now this table, this database is connected to the above database integrally. Every time there are new items here, you will find it here. Similarly, you can add tasks here also. Now, the last step that I showed you, do you want me to show this on that table also? Is this particular column opening up? Okay? This is about it, guys. This is the crucial part of Notion building. If you figure this out, you are going to build incredibly powerful workspaces. There are people who work as Notion consultants for startups who are earning thousands of dollars every month just as a side project. And I'm talking about students, not professionals. And we are not seeing Indian students do that yet, and I'm hoping to change that this year. All the people that I'm talking about are, of course, probably in the United States or in Europe, but also Philippines. Students in Philippines are incredible hustlers, and they are building very, very thriving, side projects that are doing thousands of dollars in revenue every month, and they're solopreneurs, so they don't really have any costs. And how are they mastering all of this? Is very, very basic skills that I'm teaching you today, right? Of course, you do have to put in your reps in the next few months, but this is a very, very real career option. Alright. The last few things I want to show you, actually, and we're actually almost done. The rest of it is just fluff to make it look good, make it usable, make it fun, all of that. But the last few things I want to show you is how to make this a little more powerful. Let's say you have 100 tasks here. You have to make sure that it's working for you in a way that makes sense. Let's say tomorrow is your exam. You want to see exactly what tasks are pending for that particular subject. That is where you can create filters on this database. That is how you can create filters. You can create views also. Both of these are missing from Google Sheets. This is why you will love Notion. So for example, this is Task Manager. And you want to see what tasks are coming up for today. Of course, the best way probably could be, there are 100 tasks. You could say sort by on the right, top right, and say sort by deadline, and say ascending. You could do that if you wanted. The other way you can do that is, see on the table, on the top it says table. I want to show you exactly what that is. So on the top, whenever you create an inline database, it says table. When I click on the plus button, it's going to give me 6 options on the right. Now, whenever you have a date column, know that that item can be represented as a function of a calendar because there is a date. So instead of a table, I'm going to click on the option below that called calendar, and I'm going to click outside. And now, if you go down, you can see that your tasks are being shown as part of a calendar. You can use this for tasks, you can use this for reminders, you can use this for upcoming exams or project deadlines also. As long as there is a deadline or a date column, wherever you're inputting dates or times, it will show you as a calendar. So it's definitely useful. The other option that you have is, how many of you have heard of Trello? Trello, the project management tool. So Trello is really famous for its Kanban boards, right? What's a Kanban board? Essentially, it is a form of moving cards around as soon as you're done with one project or the other, or one phase of the project. Notion can house Kanban boards very, very comfortably, which means it completely replaces Trello. The same task table, I'm going to add one more column. This time, instead of single select or multi-select, the third option in that order is status. I'm going to click on status and I'm going to leave it out. Yeah? So, whenever you have a multi-select, single select or status, it is very easy to show this not only as a calendar, but when I click on the plus, I'm going to click on board and leave it out. Now it's going to show me as boards. Now this is not recognized properly as a status, it's showing me as subjects. Instead of that, what I'm going to do is, top 3 dots, click on the layout. Right now the layout is recognizing the group, if you go down, by subjects. I'm going to change subjects to status and just check out what's happening. Most tasks are not started and therefore they're here. But if I click on this as I started and drag it to in progress, now the task status has now been changed to progress. If you like using Trello, then you can use a board in Notion instead. That's an option for you. Similarly, you have other options like list, gallery, etc. I just want to show you list for now, the last thing. Similarly, I'm just going to click on list and click out. You can see that it's looking like a list right now, not much happening. What I'm going to do again is click on the 3 dots in the top and click on properties. Right now it's showing deadline, but I also wanted to show the checkbox. And now the checkbox is also being shown. Yeah? So, how did this happen where there's an illustration here, there's a task manager here, there's a calendar here, like arranged in that way? If you try to drop this table like a block and put it on the right, it's not happening. It's very hard to do that. It's not going to be possible. Here's a trick for you. First, create the columns and then add the databases in the columns. How do I do that? Create 2 blocks, create 2 columns like this, and now add the tables inside. Like that. And like this. Yeah? Great. So, we're pretty much done with the build. You have a semester calendar, which is nothing but a table of important assignments and projects coming up, but shown as a calendar. You have a task manager, which is nothing but a table of tasks, but shown as a list. I've changed the icons a little bit. I was a little obsessive about it and I went and changed all the icons so it looks good. But there's not really much that happened there. I added an illustration because it looks pretty. And this is basically a gallery. This particular table is a gallery without a picture. And let me show you the last thing of that, how I've made that. So you see the subjects here, right? This is a table now. Instead of a table, I'm going to click on a plus and say gallery. And now it's looking like this, right? Instead of that, I'm going to say card preview. No cover, like none. So it's trying to see where can I get an image from. I'm going to say I don't want any images, just remove that. And then I'm going to go to this and I'm going to type the name subjects. And instead of showing a database title, I'm just going to leave it there. That's all I did. One last thing I did was top 3 dots, properties. I just showed a few things like the location, the professor's name, and number of classes. We can show that. Now, I'm just going to delete this because it's looking out of place. And that's about it. That's how we've created this particular one. So what is one thing that I haven't taught you yet in that table? Is how that progress bar has been created, right? So, how do I finish tasks and then dynamically have that the progress bar update on that table? Is the last thing I want to show you in this build. Okay? We've already linked 2 tables. I want to show you how progress on one table affects progress on the other. When you link 2 tables, it's called the relation property, right? When you're performing operations on that relation, it's called a roll-up. This is a very, very important concept in databases. Not sure if you already studied it. This is not a no-code concept. This is very much a computer science concept. You have linked databases. When you perform operations on linked databases, they're called roll-ups. Notion gives you an option to use roll-ups. But obviously you have to have a link first. We already have the link, right? Subjects and tasks are already related in this particular subject column. Just add subject. I'm going to create some dummy data for now, just so that you'll see what's happening. Tell me some tasks that you guys have every day. Just regular stuff.
Waking up.
Waking up? No. Wait, yeah, you could add that, but related to subjects so that I can show you some progress. Wake up for class 1. What subject do you have a hard time waking up for?
TOC.
Okay, let's say that is subject 2. And that is your task for tomorrow. And that's very important for you to make progress on that subject, okay? What's something else? Some tangible tasks or some homework that you guys are usually given. We used to have 80 pages of readings and everything every day. Sorry?
Trying to code every day.
Code? Yeah, code for 1 hour maybe. And this is Feb 4th.
Post-study.
Just some dummy data to show you what's happening here, okay? So basically what's happening is, or code for 1 hour for 2 subjects. Maybe it's not just Java but also some other subject that you want to make progress on. So essentially, if you make progress on this one task, you are making progress on 2 subjects. Similarly, depending on what subject is associated with what task, over time when you have hundreds of tasks, this will become much more complicated and much more rich with the information that it's going to show you. So what I have to show you right now is, go back to the table on the subjects and you see the task manager here. It's showing you all the tasks now that I've created here. Whenever you add something here in this particular subjects column, it will be added to the task manager column of the other table also. Obviously, because they're both linked, right? It will show up on both. So far so good. We just added some links to both tables. Now I want to perform an operation on the subjects table to say that as I make progress on the tasks table, I want you to update progress on my subjects table. Yeah? How do I do that? I do that by creating a roll-up. I would like you to focus a little bit on in the next 1 minute, because this might be a little hard to understand in the first go, and I know that I actually took a little bit of time to understand it. When you click on the plus button, this time look for not the relation, but the one just below it called roll-up. In this roll-up, it's now going to ask you what relation should I have, and therefore you cannot create a roll-up without the relation first. We already have a relation. That relation is called task manager. Every subject has tasks associated with it. Now it's saying, okay, I'm going to create a roll-up. What property should I use to perform operations on. Here, this is important. As tasks get completed, projects progress. As tasks get completed, projects will have some progress associated with them. And therefore, the property that's showing me the task completion is what? Which column is showing me the completion of the tasks? The checkbox, right? When the task is done, the checkbox is checked. So I'm just going to say the property shouldn't be based on the name in that table, but the checkbox property which is done. Is it done or not done? If it is not done, no progress. If it is done, some progress. What kind of progress is it? In percentage, right? How many tasks, what is the percentage of tasks that has been checked for this subject? So that is the last option, which is calculate. If I leave it like this, it's only going to show me the checkboxes. And if I check one box, it's just showing me that that checkbox has been checked. If let's say, for the second one is also related to subject 1, it's going to just show me 100 checkboxes, whether they're checked or not checked. They are just checkboxes, I'm not getting any data from them. So let's go back to those 3 dots, layout. Oops. Let's go back to the roll-up column, edit property, and the 3 options at the end. Instead of showing the original, I'm not understanding anything about the checkbox, whether they're checked or not. Instead of showing the original and not showing all the check to check marks, that's not what I want to see either. I want to see the percentage of the ones that have been checked. And now it's saying, oh great, I know what you're talking about. Do you want me to show it as a bar or a ring? A progress bar or a ring? I will say, okay, show me as a progress bar. The color of it could be grey because I'm sticking to the grey theme right now. And should I show the number or not? You could show it, it's fine. And now you can see there's a project bar here. And as I check stuff off or on, it is completing it by the percentage. Right? Now when I go back to subjects in the gallery view and click on properties and also show the roll up, which is the progress bar, you can now see a progress bar here. Yeah? So this is as simple as it is. It's not very hard. How to create databases, how to create linked databases, and how to create progress bars. These are 3 things that are very important for project managers, and you have learned all of them today. And this is a very, very strong starting step for you in your career. If you are planning to start a side hustle or a startup in the no-code space, this is where you start. If you absolutely hate coding, I'm telling you, you will still have a very flourishing technical career. I cannot code. I do not code. I have not learned to code. I've never had the time to. But these are life skills that we need to learn. And we will still have a very successful career in tech. I work with Silicon Valley's top startups. I do not know how to code. Because you don't need to, that's not an excuse anymore. I built incredibly successful apps using these no-code tools, including a COVID relief app in 2021 when we had our second COVID wave that went viral with over 4 lakh users. That was built completely using no-code tools. We had over 150 volunteers working completely remotely and asynchronously, and I was able to build it because of tools like Notion. The app was not built on Notion, the app was an actual app. But the knowledge that went into the app, for example, we were connecting people with scarce resources like oxygen, hospital beds, blood. People didn't have people didn't have food at that time. So we were connecting them with all these critical resources at a time of a national disaster. We were able to do it because of no-code tools. Similarly, I built an app during the Afghanistan crisis. I built an app during the Ukraine crisis. Sort of like, that's sort of my specialty, but I've also built legal automation tools to replace lawyers and stuff like that. My profession doesn't really like tech exactly for these reasons, but that's not a good enough reason is my point, right? You don't have to like tech to use it. It's like a life skill. It's like I don't like water. It doesn't matter, man, you have to drink it, you're gonna die. Similarly, your career has to go somewhere, you have to learn critical skills at the right time. And as no-code comes up and as AI is hitting a very critical turning point, it's important for you guys to understand where do you stand when you graduate. If people like me are coming up and saying we'll build websites and apps and I haven't even studied computer science, then what is your unique value in the market is you're going to solve the world's biggest problems without having to be bogged down by simple things like, can you create a website for me? Can you create an app for me? You shouldn't have to do these simple things. You guys have been trained in one of the most critical skills in the world. And so all of this stuff has to be taken away from your mental bandwidth, right? And that's basically my work as an educator, is to teach people, non-technical people, how to build these things without having to learn how to talk to the computer first, without the syntax. Yeah? So I'm going to end this workshop here because everything else you're seeing here is fairly straightforward. I told you how to build it. The other two things that you're seeing here, I urge you to go back and see how it was built. This is nothing but a list. This is also nothing but a list with a few more properties. This is linked to subjects as I did earlier. This is linked to subjects as well as I did earlier. So you can try to build this on your own. There's no more rocket science anymore. And I added a footer by adding a divider here. How did I do that? Is / divider, and that's about it. Yeah, so there's nothing new in that page anymore. So I'm going to end this workshop here, and I really hope that this helped you. I hope that you are interested in using Notion now, and I hope that you're interested in building tools for yourself without having to rely on other apps. Just excited about flexing that building muscle, putting in the reps. Coding every single day is nothing but building your reps, right? So putting in the reps every single day, such that after a few years it just becomes second nature for you. Using Notion is a skill like that. So thank you so much for paying attention for so long. I hope this has helped you. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me after the session. If you've created something in today's session, I highly urge you to take a screenshot of that and share it on Twitter and tag me. I'll be happy to retweet it for you. You will get more reach. If you put anything on Instagram, please tag me. I will reshare it on my profile. And if you want an internship in my company, this is the kind of stuff we're doing. We're going to different places in India and abroad by hosting these workshops and a bunch of exciting other stuff in the field of Notion, AI, and no code. So if you're interested in working with us, we'd love to have you. But thank you so much, guys. This has been the workshop. I hope you learned something interesting.
I don't